Thanks for joining this episode of The Blade Boys. I'm Ted Flett,
And I'm Myth Das.
and we are here now to break down the Four Continents. And Myth, this is the 16th year of the Four Continents Championships.
Yeah.
When you think of an event that started off with Tatiana Malinina winning the ladies' event, and
With her
compare
little
it
Aladdin... Was
with,
that with
with
the
a
Aladdin
little
program?
yeah,
Oh
that
my
was Aladdin, man.
god.
And you come forward
Oh my
16
God.
years, yes, still skaters are skipping this event, and doesn't have the same prestige as the European Championships. But boy, has it ever upped its ante over the years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm excited for this. Like, I would really like to see Four Continents title holders feel and exude as much prestige and honor as a European Championship. And when you look at events like, say, the ice dancing event or Canada versus China in the pairs event, the men's event, there are some heavy, heavy hitters in those disciplines that can easily go toe-to-toe with a European skater.
Oh, for sure. I think sometimes people sometimes people say the Europeans is the more prestigious one, and I think it is. From a traditional standpoint, it's been around way longer. But I think sometimes people tend to pull out of Four Continents more so than Europeans, and then people think it's like a diluted competition, or they can't hang with the Europeans because Europeans is usually more competitive.
Right.
Not the case. Not some years, yes, that is true, but not the case in this year in Four Continents. There were some stellar performances, certainly some more stellar than a lot of European performances that we saw. And definitely, if we compare the two, there's some battles brewing, and some competitors from Europe might have, the other Four Continents. They might have something to say about that. Okay, well, maybe not Australia, but I love Australia. But
right, totally. Well, I think, and a skater I recall Michelle Kwan never went to Four Continents once, and she could have gone to 4 or 5. So, if you had some big star power winning a Four Continents Championships on a regular basis, it might have upped the prestige. But speaking of Michelle Kwan and a ladies skater, let's start with a breakdown of the ladies event, which is usually shapes up to be a U.S. versus Japan sort of showdown. And I would have thought at the beginning of the season that the Four Continents would be a real penultimate sort of meeting of, say, Gracie Gold, Ashley Wagner, and Mao Asada. But it turned out that the key players in this discipline this year were Mirai Nagasu and Satoko Miyahara.
Which I'm sure you're happy about.
Mirai, she's back up. We will get to the gold medalist eventually. But first, let's talk about the silver medalist. Mirai Nagasu, what a great way to finish her season. That's the kind of skate that ideally she would have loved at U.S. Nationals. Maybe she could have cracked, onto the podium in place of Ashley, but that's a really tall order. But, this skate, clean triple combination, clean double axel, triple toe, double toe combination. This is an excellent stepping stone. So with all the talk of the other women who are rising in the ranks in the U.S., Courtney Hicks, of course. Thank you, Karen Chen. Yeah. Some of those other skaters that we're really anticipating, and every season there's another really hot one or two American skaters. She showed that she is not going to roll over, and let all these skaters skyrocket ahead of her in the rankings. I thought it was an animated skate, and I really look forward to seeing what sort of material she comes up with over the summer for next season.
Yeah, she's like the Alona Leonova counterpart, where people are like, oh well, she had her time, whatever. But she continually just she trains hard, and Tom Z has clearly brought out the best in her, and finally she's really getting back to her potential. She got her first personal best since the Olympics in 2010, when she broke onto the scene. That's a crazy stat. In 6 years to break your personal best. I'm so proud of her. I thought she did. I thought she would have actually beaten Ashley at US now, because let's not forget that the short program was not the greatest for Ashley.
For either of them.
Or for either of that. Well, yeah, but
for every American woman, with the exception of
Paulina Edmonds. But who did not compete here. She perhaps wisely chose not to compete here, because it would have been hard for her to beat Satoko Miyahara, given that Miyahara skated cleanly. Um, but kudos to
But also,
Mirai.
I mean, things like Paulina's, the reason they gave is she's breaking in new skates. Like,
Okay.
really, like, if you had wanted to be there, you would have broken in your skates in sufficient time to be there.
To
Like,
be
no,
fair,
no
girl won
one's gonna be.
last year. Girl won last year, so like she doesn't really have to prove it or to defend it. I thought it would have actually helped her because she hasn't really had great international results this season. It might have been nice to like do one more
Totally.
event where hopefully she skated well. She would have increased her component scores. But that being said, if like she lost to Mirai, like then what did the judges make of her, right? Like
Well,
it's
and this is what happened with Gracie. So
yep.
let's just get. We'll be all over the map on this particular
Yeah,
discipline.
because
So
there's some
Gracie Gold coming. I think she wound up fifth,
fifth.
sixth,
Yeah, I think she was fifth. Yeah,
fifth.
behind
Like
no,
not
behind
not
Serene Park. Yeah.
not good. I mean, so the short program. Let's talk about first about Gracie's short program. Fall on the triple Lutz, so never even got the triple toe out, and then probably I can completely sort of understand this. She's now just thinking in the back of her mind, okay, tack a double toe on the triple flip. And she was probably just focused on, okay, I got to remember to put that double toe on it and fit that in because the flip comes tight to the boards and then goes down on the flip. So big shocker there. And her free skate, although better, also wasn't ideal. Didn't do the triple Lutz triple toe. Made the double axel triple toe into a double double double.
Yeah.
Then had to make a combination out of the second Lutz. That was a single because she couldn't keep doing any more double toe. I
Yeah.
mean, it was
I
just
mean, good on her for remembering that, but like, yeah, and she's
true.
done
It
it in
just
the
wasn't.
past where she remembered,
After
but
that brilliant statement that she made at U.S. Nationals and all the hype that, holy smokes, like, wait till we unleash this Gracie on the world. And then she goes to Four Continents and does this. And she did the same thing last year when she finished off the podium at the Four Continents last year before Shanghai. So,
it's not
I
good
mean,
to her. This competition is not good to her.
it's not great to her, and so you wonder if she should have been the one to skip it and save her best performance for for Worlds. But she had the crappy short program at the U.S. Nationals. She didn't have a great Grand Prix final, so I think it was a great opportunity for her to harness the momentum and the excitement and the confidence that would have come with the U.S. title to win this one. And I feel really badly for Gracie. It's now kind of okay, back to square one. Like, how do I now start from zero to get into fighting form for Boston, which is just around the corner? So I love this girl. I think her short and long programs this year are exceptional. I think they can compete components-wise, choreographically, and technically with the best in the world. I think she's right up there with Medvedeva. But yeah, but you got to be able to put it together. And I don't know. I don't know where she goes from here.
Um, I she just needs to put this out of her mind. I mean, that was. Let's remember that also her free skate was where she delivered at nationals. She wasn't able to do it's. I don't think she's ever done a clean short and a clean long. I think World Team Trophy might have. No, I'm trying to think of. There might be a competition where she was very close to it, but Gracie like has all the potential in the world to be that top skater. She can, if she skated lights out worlds, she could potentially take out either Medvedeva or Radionova. They would need errors at this point because they've literally been so consistent that their component scores have like surpassed her.
Yeah.
But Gracie needs to figure herself out and figure herself out fast because she's running out of opportunities. There's a wave of like Russian skaters beyond the current wave of Russian skaters who are just itching to monopolize the podium. She's lucky that Pogorelaya is going to Worlds and Pogorelaya can be hit or miss.
Yeah.
Because like if someone like Surskaya or like one of the more consistent Russian girls who's waiting in the wings ended up going to Worlds, like sorry, but y'all are competing from fourth and onwards, right? Like it's like that's just how far ahead they are. So she's really running out of opportunities to cement herself. I think in a home crowd where she has a tendency to skate well, I think that might ground her. And I'm, tentatively optimistic that she'll regain the form. And it's better to do this here than at Worlds. But
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, and not to. I mean, I don't
I
mean
mean,
to be
that's the story for a
surprised.
couple skaters that we'll talk about. It was
Yeah,
better for them to do it here than at Worlds, and
yeah.
not
But
everyone
but it
shined.
would have been a yeah. But this is a lesson that she has learned, many times over. What would have been better than that is for her to skate really well, maybe not even clean, but skate really competitively and outperform Satoko, so that she can. She's got the prestige of, all right, I just took down the world silver medalist, and now, let's go on and get to the top rung in Boston. So, yeah, it's difficult. I mean, and like you say, she's got everything in the world, and she's got like an Olympic and world caliber coach and training facility and team behind her. Yeah, it's interesting. You got to wonder. I don't expect that her U.S. teammates take pleasure in an event like that, but you got to think, and Ashley Wagner's thinking, all right, the door just slightly opened for me a little bit. I mean, coming off a
Well,
bronze medal finish at U.S. Nationals, she's probably thinking, well, that's not great. But oh, look at the U.S. national champion is now looking vulnerable. So, I think the podium and Boston looks like, if things all align, it will be the two Russians and Miyahara.
yeah.
But I think personally we'll probably do a previous episode closer to Worlds, but I think there are better skaters that if they can get their act together and put all the elements and have that performance factor at the right time in Boston, the event could be theirs. So
Well, yes, there's something to be said about home ice advantage, and it's interesting you pointed out that, like, yeah, like Mirai, like placing ahead of Gracie, like stole some of her thunder. Of course, like the same thing happened where the bronze medalist from Canadian nationals, Caitlin Osman, ended up beating Alain Chartrand, who had again a disastrous performance here, and
yeah,
it was another case of like better here than Worlds, right? Because Alain is she's our representative at Worlds. She's our number one going into Worlds, and if she scores like 165 points here as she did at Worlds, that probably won't place her in the top 12. And then we're counting on Gabby, who also has the potential to place in the top 12. But I don't know, like Skate Canada is probably like, oh well, maybe we
yeah,
shouldn't have announced that world team quite so quickly, and
yeah,
and we'll
yeah.
and we'll
I'm,
see this in this competition where like Kevin Reynolds, he did exceptionally well compared to like Liam Ferris. Well, sorry, not exceptionally well compared to, but like he was ahead of him.
yeah.
And then it's kind of like I like this is just a mini tangent, but it's shouldn't four continents. Do you think it should be kind of a skate off for like a lot of these like really close results in national competitions, like that determine, oh, this person scored like 2 points higher than this next person, but they get to go to Worlds, right?
It's difficult, and we've seen some interesting. I recall skate offs by Fumi Suguri and, was it Yoshi Onda, like
Mm,
years ago, and like those two. I think it was 2004 or
yeah.
2005 rather. Fumi Suguri was skating Carmen that season. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. But those two girls, like, they brought it. Fumi won it. Yoshi came second. Japan said, okay, Fumi, like, you won the spot. And it made for a really great event. So maybe if an Elaine or a Caitlin or a Gabby had known, like, it's on your world spot, it's on the line, then they might have upped their game and made sure that that they were ready to rock and roll in Taiwan.
I
But
agree, and I think there's a different, and it's a different environment where you're competing against all the other Canadian ladies, and now you're competing in an international ISU championship against the Canadian ladies and everybody else. So it really shows who can like not just step up to pressure against like national teams, but who can really rise to the occasion when facing international competition. And I think Caitlin really proved that here by like skating a lot better than she has this season. And I think like I think she ended up sixth here. This was a good way to close out her season as well. But we should talk about the other medalists as well.
yeah, I guess we should get to the
I guess we
gold.
should get to like well, okay, I'm gonna go in reverse order. I'm gonna start with Rica Hongo. Not
Okay.
the greatest skates, but she definitely deserved her bronze medal here. Soyun Park had a fantastic short program. Actually, that short program, the top five girls all had like really great skates,
Yeah.
and even Rica had a great one. Like she had an under rotation, but it was still a very strong short program. Certainly stronger than like Europeans, if we're gonna compare the two. And then
Yeah.
in the free skate, like yeah, not everyone in four continents has the technical goods of like Medvedeva and Radionova, but Miyahara proved that she does. But it was still a pretty strong, and again, like Rika is that performance skater, like the Javier Fernandez of the bunch,
Mm.
where she's the one who knows how to engage the crowd and get them going. And this bronze medal here, while it wasn't her favorites, like the best skate she wants to do for Worlds, it's always like it's a great build, and that's the problem with Gracie.
Mhm.
Like her momentum got killed. Rika, however, didn't have great skates, but it's a good. It can. It's a she can. You can see how it can be a stepping stone to a better performance at Worlds
Yeah,
instead
and I
of
think
a where
yeah,
do
and
I go from now sort of thing, right?
totally. And I think expectations on Rika were much less than they were on Gracie. I mean, I think
Yes.
Rika is probably going to come in the top 10 at Worlds, but not likely to crack top 5. And I think the podium is an impossibility for her unless there's just a slew of errors
There
from
would
the
have
other
to be a
ladies.
complete meltdown by
Which could
everybody.
happen. Which could
Well,
happen.
I don't know.
But
I think the
but not.
Russian girls are too solid that they'll end up monopolizing two of the podium spots. Like I said before the Grand Prix final, which is what ended up happening. I notice how you change your tune, how you're like, it'll probably be two Russian ladies on the world podium, but it just goes to show that it's like,
Yeah.
that's how
Hey,
consistent
Mitch,
they've been
let's
all
be clear.
season.
That's not my dream podium.
Oh, I know,
But
I know.
that's the likely podium.
Girl, you want Elizaveta and Mirai on your dream podium, but that ain't happening. So
I'm just gonna pack up my computer and just. If this is
sorry,
how you're gonna
I
be.
say this like with love to like Mirai and Elizaveta, but again, this
Well,
is
see which one is the bitch boy of the Blade Boys.
we might have to
It's,
edit that out. Okay, there are some children's watching. Okay, but like we said, we ain't gonna be like anonymous like the judges. We're going to be transparent and keep it real. But
okay, on to the gold
on
medalist.
to the gold medal. I mean, okay, sorry, I should say I love you, Mariah, and I love you, Elizaveta. But like,
Yeah, they're not
I
going to
think the
win.
I think the world spots were kind of determined fair
Yeah,
and square by
myth,
national.
salt in the wounds. Move on.
Moving on to the gold medalist, Satoko Miyahara, and there are some. Okay, so on the internet, Miss Satoko Miyahara has some haters because she not apparently, she jumps like super super tiny. She's
Yeah.
a small girl. She's gonna like have small jumps. I'm not surprised about that. But what I do like about her is that there's a very good sense of ease watching her skate, and I'm never worried about. I'm never like, when's the error? Like it's when I watch her skate, it's not explosive. It's not like the Elizaveta jumps that I see. It's not even like the level of like panache that like Rica Hongo has. But there is a very nice sense of sophistication and a very quiet calm about her, which makes her very pleasant to watch. Um, I don't picture she's not particularly memorable, but she's very very solid and technically like her short program she does her triple X triple toe, right, and then in her free skate she's very smart. She does the double axel triple toe because it doesn't get more credit than like doing it in another combination.
Yep. And she
But
repeats it. I mean,
and
yeah.
her base value is actually, I think her base value is actually higher than Medvedeva, actually. But because her jumps aren't as big, she doesn't get the grade of execution that is needed to surpass Medvedeva on technical. But she's still pulling like 70 plus technical element scores, which is exactly where you need to be to 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 compete with the best. And for her to get almost 215 points, that is a world champion level score. Like that's definitely enough to win a world, especially if Medvedeva has a competition like she had at Europeans, right? So kudos to Satoko. I mean, she's the Japanese champion for a reason, like two times Japanese champion, and there are some very special qualities about her. I mean, her reverse skating is very interesting to watch. She is very neat in her movements. I think she has very
yeah.
good polish to her skating, whereas sometimes a skater like Radionova, like it can get a little frantic and get a little rushed, and like I'm trying to get all this stuff done. With her, I never get that like William Tell overture, like like
Yeah,
I
things are going to start going off the rails. They don't.
It's everything's very calm and collected. That she is one of those skaters that when she makes an error, I'm surprised. Like when Radionova makes an error or Medvedeva not Medvedeva, she's more solid. But when Radionova makes an error, like I'm like, okay, well, your jumping technique, there's some struggle there, so it's expected. When Gracie Gold makes it, you're like, okay, well, there's mentally she's not the most as strong as some of the other skaters, so an error is thing. But with Satoko, you get that sense of like she is doing her thing, and that is what I respect from Miss Satoko Miyahara. I think she needs to ditch the Satoko Miya haters and just be Satoko Miyahara, okay?
Yeah, I think you said it. I don't have much to add to that. I think you said like she's a pleasant skater. You don't worry about her. She's not terribly dynamic. I think her programs are improvements from last year. They don't grab me by the hand and pull me onto the ice, and I don't really skate with her. I just sort of watch her, and so she continues to skate really well, and the judges can rely on her as being a steady skater, and she's not showing that she's gonna make a lot of errors, like you said. So smart skater, good programs, beautiful programs,
and she got the win. She got the win. So
she got the win, and I think a personal best score. So it did.
And I think that sets her up greatly for Worlds, and she's definitely a threat to the two Russians. I think she can take them out.
Well, it's funny because she's an unlikely threat. I don't see her as being a contender in Pyeongchang.
I remember at the beginning of the season, like, and I think that the factor is that she doesn't strike me as a competitor. Like, she doesn't strike me as somebody who's trying to win. She strikes me as somebody who's putting out a nice, pleasant, enjoyable performance. I never get that sense of fire and that attack and like, oh, I want to be world champion from her. Like, I never sense that from her skating. But obviously, like technically, she's so good that like I feel bad saying it because like obviously she's put in the effort, she's put in the training, and I can't fault a skater for making something look so effortless that like it almost seems like they're not even trying because it's so effortless and it looks so effortless. But kudos to her because I want a world champion with 7 triples again, and I think Medvedeva or Miyahara can finally be the world champion. We don't need no 5 triple world champions. I mean, I got love for the ones who did win with it, but like I think the ladies need to start like stepping the game up and show that like we're not just pretty, we're also technical as well. So I think it was a great competition in that respect for Miyahara and obviously for Mirai and Rica as well. I mean, all ethnically Japanese podium, right? Like
I know, fascinating.
It's a bit fascinating. Same thing, and we'll get to the men's where it was all ethnically Chinese podium. So it's just I don't know, a random coincidence, but. Moving on from the ladies.
So first, on to pairs. So interesting competition here. Sui and Han took it and didn't just take it. Like,
they
killed it.
Yeah, and they're like and they're still like dealing with like injuries and so like I don't even know, Larry.
Well, if that's them injured, so help the rest of the world when everything's when everything's
all cylinders.
When her eye's fixed and when her hip is back on track. So, I mean, an incredible short program score, 78. That's like a massive. They have also, I mean, similar to Velocishar and Trankov at Europeans, they've really broken away from the rest of the field that are kind of hovering at like 72, 73, 74. I mean, that was an amazing score and an amazing program. I love it. When you compare who she is now with who she was in 2013, 2014, she has like come to life. She's exceptional.
That little girl is gone.
Yeah, she's so dynamic. It's just amazing. And you think well, you know what? Honestly, I think part of it is the hair. Like, I think her hair is such sass. So great short program, amazing long program.
They had the fall with the
Yeah, but landed the quad,
Beautiful
beautiful, landed the
quad.
quad Sauko. I mean, with incredible run out on the landing. I think the program, in terms of as a vehicle, is incredible. I love the Samson and Delilah music. They switch from exotic to sensual to dynamic really well over the course of the 4.5 minutes. But yeah, gosh, I mean, I really thought that when they when they lost to Kavaguti and Smirnov earlier in the season, they lost to Skameka and Knierim in the short program at Skate America. They withdrew from the Grand Prix final. There's so many other strong teams. I really thought Sui and Han are not going to be, they're not going to be a factor this year. And boy, did they ever show that, guess what? They're totally going to be a factor. Some might even argue that they're going to be the ones to beat. I mean, they made such a strong statement in Taiwan. What did you think?
I think they made an incredibly strong statement, and I would completely not be surprised if they won the world title in March or April.
March.
Yeah, March.
Yeah.
And
well, you know what? Technically, it borders both. I think it starts on the 28th or 29th, and it goes
like
to
that,
details.
But yeah, they absolutely rocked this competition. This we say like Four Continents, for some people they shouldn't attend. This was definitely one that I'm sure they're very glad they attended. Four Continents, because they ended up like absolutely smashing their personal best in their short program, and I don't know if that was a personal best in their free program. I can't remember.
Yeah, I believe
but
it was.
Yes, it was in their free program, and of course overall score. And that's, I don't know. So let me just say one thing. To get a personal, it's weird when a team gets a personal best score when they have an under-rotated fall, right? Like when you reserve personal best score, especially when a team has skated as well as they did at Worlds last year, for example, like absolutely like near perfection. It judges, come on.
Okay, but here's the thing.
But the justification, I will say, and I know you're about to say, they had 2 quads, and that is the justification for them.
They had 2 quads, and you know what? Like they've been on the senior scene for a little while. They've kind of been straddling the senior and junior scene. Last year is when they really made
world wins.
Yeah, but last year was the first year that they were seniors where they really had the total package and they had ultimate programs. But at Four Continents, for example, last year I think they came 4th. They were off the podium. It was, I mean, they won the silver medal in Shanghai, but I don't think it was necessarily expected. So, and they haven't had a ton of momentum this season necessarily, like they showed at the World. So I think that's why they haven't gotten to that level in terms of the component score and a personal best score. So I think that's also how they got it.
Yeah.
If they skated clean with 2 quads previously, then I don't think this would have been their personal best. But
yeah, I mean, they got the component scores, and yes, like I believe like this was a competition where their component scores in both programs were frankly kind of closer to what I would hope that they got. I think they've been underrated in the past, even winning like silver last year. I think that was the first time their components actually started getting where they should be. But this competition, I mean, Asian competition with Duhamel and Radford pulling out, they were very, very much the clear favorites. It's not like Yu and Jin, who were the bronze medalists, it's not like they really killed it either. But I mean, still pretty decent programs, but like there was just such a discrepancy between them and Skameka and Knierim, who themselves had an amazing free skate. Like we should talk about, like that was after U.S. Nationals, after losing their U.S. title. That must be so demoralizing to not have that momentum, and after the Grand Prix final as well. Like there's they lose that momentum as well. So for them to like get their quad twist back and to like get, Alexa was like surprised that they were able to crack 140 internationally, which is huge for them. Huge. Like that, when you crack 140, that's like world medal contention area sort of thing. I think it's so competitive that it's going to be very difficult for them to like get that world medal. But like who knows? Like the free skate they put out there was better than some of the poor free skates that the top contenders have put out this season. So You never know. I mean, they still need to put together a clean short program. I mean, there's always that, like the side by sides,
Yeah.
sometimes get away from them. Uh, but that free program, there's no denying that was absolutely stellar, and I'm so glad because I do love that Elizabethan, the Golden Age program, and I think they.
Funny, do you? Okay, interesting. Because
No, but it's one of those programs like Stobova and Klimov's program. I don't really like it, but when it's skated cleanly, you
yeah,
understand the impact that it can have. But
yeah,
it's one of those programs that is highly, highly dependent on cleanliness because, like, if once the
right.
errors are being made, the program completely falls flat. Like,
Well,
it's not
totally,
like it can be
and I think
saved.
yeah, and a team like Slobova Klimov have the history and the consistency that they should be able to skate a clean long program. Schemek and Canarum don't have that, so that I thought the Elizabethan pick was a bit riskier.
Hmm.
And I think there are some moments in it. There's a particular moment, and they did it in their program last year as well, where she lies across him and he's in a spiral position. I feel like it's awkward to get into. It's awkward to come out of. It's not very impactful. I wish they ditch it. But other than that,
Hmm.
I think the program is generally good. It doesn't give me goosebumps, but man, when you skate it clean, it comes off really well. However, in comparison to their short program is like sizzling. So if they can
Oh
ever
yeah.
come up with a long program that can align with their short, then
I think
they'd be
it's that contrast though that they really were trying to establish this season and show that hey, we can be like hard and edgy, but we can also be very lyrical and very finesse. It's kind of like similar to the French team where they did I put a spell on you, and then their free program is a lot more like classical and
Romeo and Juliet.
yeah,
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet. So it's a lot. So I think, especially for teams that are like apparently hot and athletic, they try to exhibit a contrast, so they don't end up being pigeonholed as just that athletic team, or a team that's unable to have the finesse and have the sophistication and show the lines off. So this was a great breakthrough performance for Skemeka and Knierim, and I'm super, super proud of them for that. And again, you and Jin rounding out the podium. Uh, it was also great to see them get another international medal under their belts. I
Yeah.
don't think they'll have that. I don't think they'll have as much of an impact at Worlds, given how competitive it will be. It's getting pretty crowded at the top, and who knows
Oof.
who knows what's going to happen at Worlds, especially with like Savchenko, Maso, and Velocity and Trankov coming
Yeah.
back, and Sobin Klimov coming back after their year off and like rocking the Grand Prix final. Like you never know
Yeah.
what's going to happen. I think.
Yeah, and I think just quickly, unfortunate for Johanna Radford that she has some sort of a stomach flu, and they didn't skate a great short program and had to withdraw for the long. So it's hard to really criticize the short program because she wasn't at her best as she usually is. It is unfortunate that they didn't get a chance to skate this healthily. So that in an ideal world, they could have, whether they would have beaten Sweenhan or not, which would have been good, but whether they'd beaten them or not, if they'd skated a clean short program and got those sort of, those short program jitters out of the way to feel confidence going into Boston, I think they'd be in like ideal shape. Now it just means that they've got to train away and hopefully get things going for Boston. They've got a slightly different approach in terms of training. I saw on social media that Eric Radford is on a beach somewhere down south, and
just taking it easy before Worlds. So
yeah, and maybe that's what they need to do, right? Like just to get some downtime, recharge their batteries, and then go nose the grindstone for 3 or 4 weeks in the run up to Boston. They've got all the goods. It's just a matter of being able to put it together. So, and talk about some switcheroos in the old ice dance rankings at 4 continents. Wow, where to begin? So the Shibutanis take the gold medal at the 4 continents. First really big international win. Personal best score internationally, I believe.
Yeah.
Won both the short dance and the free dance. Weaver and Poge, who once again this season were undefeated, just like last, are relegated down to the bronze medal with
almost
like a score of
almost lost bronze to
barely
Donahue and
barely got over 100 marks points for the free skate. Like, Okay, so first the Shibutanis, you must be pleased.
I'm super pleased because you know me, like for the longest time I thought the Shibutanis were underrated, and they were clearly the best ice dance team in this competition, and it sets up a momentum leading to Worlds where they will square off against the French team, and that's going to be a huge battle. But I'm so glad that the Shibs are finally in it. Like it's a long time coming. Yeah, they had their bronze medal like a while ago, but now it's like, and I hope I don't want to jinx them, but I'm like, okay, so they're gonna get a world medal. It's a matter of like what color it is, and so that in my mind, it's like I think I can enjoy them more without feeling like they're not gonna get like screwed over by the judges, because the judges finally like them and they're responding well to their programs. Uh, Huge shock, but of like we were in Poje though, like that like they were so shaky in that free dance, and everything from like the lift error to the twizzles not like being only a level 2.
Yeah.
Like there were some significant technical errors in that program. I think they had one of the worst base values. Like I think they had like second last or third last. I don't know. They had a really low base value, and obviously it cost them not just the gold, but also like a silver against Chalk and Bay. Two themselves weren't like the sharpest as well. The one reason I'm glad that the Shibutanis won this is because clearly the judges are no longer just holding up teams
Based on
reputation.
Yeah.
They're like it. You have to come out and skate. Like you can't just like, and it's and the great thing about Richard Moore and Davison White like not really being there. Well, for now, because Richard and Mora are coming back. The great thing about this is that the teams are so evenly matched that it really, at the end of the day, it comes down to the actual skating. It doesn't come down to having a huge component score advantage. Like, you know, that Grand Prix final where Scott fell and they were still in second. Like, it's no longer stuff like that anymore. Like now, if you make an error, if you make even errors that aren't visible, like if you make like technical, like that drop the level, the judges will nail you for it, and it will compromise your standing, and that's how it should be. That's how, like, you know, you should be deducted. You should be, like, even in terms of component scores, like the judges acknowledged that Weaver and Poje weren't necessarily the best. Like they ended up getting, let me see. Oh, they did get the highest component scores in the free dance, but
what do you
again,
well, and I
shows
think,
me wrong, but but what I'm
this,
saying is it wasn't as high as it has been in the past. So the judges clearly acknowledge that these errors like compromise the overall performance, right? And it's been a while. So, like in ice dance, it used to be you needed to like flat off fall on your face to drop down one placement, like.
And even then, you might not if you're.
Even then, you might not if you're
Pasha Gritchuk. But actually, I mean, I think.
Woo! That was a well-toned shade. Just say.
I think Weaver and Poje still have like an amazing vehicle. I think it's about on par with the Shibutanis, though Coldplay's pretty hot. But they. The silver lining for me in this is that I think it's better for them to make those errors here, like they did at the World Championships last year.
You mean?
What's that?
The bronze lining, you mean?
Oh, zing. Better to make those mistakes here in Taiwan.
Yes.
And get their act together and find their groove again, which won't be a difficult search, right? They had it in Barcelona. So they just got to channel some more of that in Boston, and then they're in the running for gold against the French. But
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But I think that their free skate is really exceptional. The judges seem to adore, even though it's quite a traditional short dance, which I like. But there's lots of critics out there of going the traditional route, but the judges are eating it up well also. So
yeah, and I think this is a good example of Four Continents get this awful performance out of the way because they know what they need to do now. They know that they can't afford those errors. They know that the judges will nail them if they. And unlike last year, I don't think they competed at Four Continents last year, did they? But
Weaver and Poje?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They won it.
Oh, yes, they won it. Okay, sorry. But like I feel like getting this out of the way makes sure that they didn't do this performance at Worlds when they would have been buried. Like they would have yeah, it would have, like, you know, they really need to regroup after this, and I think they definitely have it in them. They're professionals. They're seasoned veterans. They'll do it. They'll give a run to the French for that top spot. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion at all. That
Totally.
I mean, it was a foregone conclusion that Weaver and Poitier would win Four Continents against like even the Shibutanis, who were gaining momentum after winning U.S. Nationals. So it's going to be very exciting, and I'm very pleased and hopeful that like this means that at Worlds it's going to come down to who is really the best skating, and not who's the best reputation, not necessarily who has the best momentum. It's going to come down to the skating and the programs and who performs best on the day, as it should be.
As it should be, damn it. And you know
so
what?
Moving on.
More concerning, really, than Weaver and Poitier is Chalk and Bates. When you figure that this was the world silver medalist team coming off of last year, with the world champions out, this was their season to dominate. In their absence, they lost to the Italians, they've lost to the Canadians, they've now lost to the Shibutanis internationally. Yeah. They're on the road for fourth place, in my opinion, at World Championships, or maybe even lower. So they're probably doing the most regrouping out of any team coming off of Four Continents. I also think because of the bottlenecking and the strength and the depth of North American ice dance, you know, Gillies and Poirier and Hubble and Donahue, who would also be very worthy podium finishers.
They were very close
at Four Continents. Actually. Yeah, they weren't able to crack up there, but legitimately so, and they're showing that once these teams, I'm going to assume that Weaver and Poitier are going to stay until Pyeongchang and then probably retire after that, because they're getting a bit long in the tooth in terms of figure skating years. There's a good sort of second tier that's ready to take those spots once they come available, or when they make mistakes and slip up.
Yeah, like Parody and Ouellette actually skated pretty well here, not as well as they. They had a really good short dance. They had a bad free dance. So
a little costume failure makes things quite interesting.
Well, you know,
that's
some trouble in parody, or some parody lost, right? Okay,
totally.
So
when you're skating with someone like Ouellette, it's funny how a dress starts to come on.
Oh my god, like they're not as bad as that like Russian ice dance team where it was full on like, okay, tabloids, take your picture last year. I'm not even if I remembered their name, I wouldn't, because I don't want to shame them again. But like, I mean, it's ice dance. It's like holds are so close, and like dresses are being held on by like a piece of super glue and a prayer. Okay, so
they need to do those things. They need to like drill them into a spine so that they'll really stay in place.
Well, those dresses are so tight that they pretty much are like a second skin. But anyways. We love it because it shows off the lines and it shows off the sexiness. So, you know, that's what ice dance is all about, lines and sexiness.
And they qualified with the score in the short dance. I think they're technical in the score in the short dance, qualified for them for Worlds, so they're on their way to Boston.
Which is good. So they earned their spot, and they did what they came to do at Four Continents, which, you know, it's you forget about these things, that some teams, they're actually fighting to still get their spot to Worlds because they need that qualifying score.
Yeah, and you don't see it. You don't see it often, certainly in North American ice dance, but good for them. So on to the men's.
Yeah, on to the men's. Oh my goodness, like. You go first, because I'm
outside of Javier Fernandez, this was a preview of Worlds. I am
and Yuzuru Hanyu, who wasn't there.
Oh yeah, him, I guess.
And Dennis Tan, who pulled out. But
right.
Anyways, well, other than them,
Patrick Chan, amazing free skate. Okay, again, if he does a short program like that, at Worlds, with the depth at Worlds, I don't think a free skate like he skated is going to pull him up on the podium. So hopefully he can channel the Canadian national short program strength with the strength of the free skate here at Four Continents. Amazing. I mean, I'm so impressed. Talking about, a slow and steady comeback and rising when need be, and, showing that he's got more in the tank for Boston. I think it was just remarkable.
Oh yeah, no, this was a stunning free skate by Patrick. The short program, his best short program by far this season. Like, even like turning the triplets to a double, I don't know. Maybe like he was so spooked from the beginning of the season of like doing a triple that he's like, because after the quad error, maybe
Yeah.
he just decided not to. But that's still to pull 86 points from that after you like essentially make an error on all three jumping passes, like with the hand down, the
Yeah.
step out, and then
Yeah.
triple double.
Yeah.
But performance wise, it was his best performance of the season, I thought. He showed a lot more confidence in the short program. He got that quad at he rotated it, which is the important thing because that was his main problem this season. It would he'd have issue. He triple the quad or he double it or something like that. And then it just mucked up the rest of the program and wreaked havoc, especially when there was Zayaking where his later jumping passes would get negated because of it, especially at the Grand Prix final, which was just a nightmare.
Disaster.
Even though it actually, even on the surface, though, it didn't look that bad. Points-wise, it really compromised his standing. But this time, he put himself definitely in the running. He had a phenomenal free skate. I'm so proud of him for this because he added to his difficulty. And there are a lot of people who like throw shade at Patrick Chan's triple axel, and I agree because like it's not his most consistent jump. But those triple axels that he did in that free program were the
butter.
Like, oh my god,
amazing.
Like especially that second triple axel. Like I was like, that's a second half triple axel for a guy who supposedly has an inconsistent triple. There was something about that ice because like all those men in that final flight, well, essentially all those men in that final flight just lit it up. Like, oh my goodness, that was like a Grand Prix final this year, like type flight where you just completely didn't expect it. And for Patrick Chan to do two quads, two triple axels, finally score over 200 points, which we know he's been capable of for a while now. In a comeback season, like these are like people like he has pulled over 190 points in 3 international free skates this season, and that's so notable because in the past he's always been grilled about having like an inconsistent free skate. Usually it's the short program that saves him and that keeps him ahead enough to like squeak out the victory or the medals. But here it's clearly the free programs where he's excelling. And now that his short program is finally starting to get under wraps, I think he's a threat. He's definitely a threat. Like people would have counted him out for a world medal, given some of his preseason performances, except when he beat Yuzuru Hanyu at Skate Canada, which we can't really forget because that is significant because everyone thought Hanyu would be undefeated this season. Yeah. But Chan really threw himself in the mix. I mean, that score that he got, I think it was 290 points. Like that is a monstrous score. It would have won Worlds. Actually, the top 3 guys here, their scores would have won Worlds last year. So like that just goes to show the level of skating at 4 continents. And and Patrick Chan has a plan now. Chan's got a plan. Where he's going to add the quad Saukow in. So all y'all people saying like, oh well, he still can't technically compete with Hanyu. Well, that's obvious. Everyone can compete with Hanyu. Hanyu's in a mind-blowingly high league of his own, but Chan isn't letting that face him. He's just doing his thing. He's actually improved. People thought he had peaked a while ago, and now for him to throw down that long program, his reaction smack it, I was eating that up because that program is a program I will watch. It's kind of like Yuzuru Hanyu's NHK free skate. Like those are 2 programs.
Epic.
Like that program and this program by Chan are 2 of figure skating's best programs ever. So like to get that in like the span of the season, like this has been what a season this has been for men's skating. I mean,
he doesn't have the 3 quads that Yuzuru has, but I think his components should exceed Yuzuru's in my opinion.
I agree. Is
exceptional.
I agree with that as well. His components didn't exceed Yuzuru's best from the Grand Prix final, which let's be honest, like that was some generous judging. But I think Yuzuru having the quad does make his program harder, so the execution should arguably be higher. But there's no
Mhm.
denying that like Patrick Chan's skating skills are absolutely the best. And if you really look at the choreography comparing the two, it's Yuzuru is very exciting to watch. That's what I love about his skating. But Patrick has his programs are the bare bones of what makes figure skating, and even
Yeah, you're
I'm sure
drawn
even
into it.
his haters are like have no choice but to look at that program and be like, damn,
That's amazing.
now I get why there's all this hype around him. And like when we say Patrick is the best artistically, we got to talk about some technicals here, okay? We got to talk about Mr. Boyang Jin, Mr. Jin Credible, Mr. Jin Sanity, Mr.
Boyang Jin was,
Yeah, Jintastic, like
yeah,
6 quads. Oh my god. So, like 1, 2 in the short
amazing.
program, 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4 in the free skate.
He should be
And a
very
quad
proud
lutz
and
and a
very
quad toe.
satisfied. Yeah, and very satisfied heading into Boston. He will be an absolute threat. I wouldn't have expected that Chan would be able to leapfrog up to
Yeah.
first, and I mean, I think even then the point split between him was, I think, a point
It was
or
a point.
maybe
It was like
two
half
at
a point.
most.
Yeah.
So Boyang Jin should feel really good about that skate, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, I wouldn't have thought it would be Boyang's time just yet, but he could skate away with a medal come Boston, and I think that the Four Continents Championships. I mean, coming ahead of Shoma Uno, it's a good ranking, a good place to be in, good confidence boost for him heading into Boston. So I think even though he didn't come away with the win and he won the short program but didn't win overall, a really really strong competition for him.
Yeah, and he was rightfully like held back on component scores. I thought his components that free skate come on that there's it's definitely a jumping fest. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
He has arrived and he is acknowledging the fact that he is artistically deficient compared to the top skaters, but he's still going to hang with them because he is going to, if he can't artistricize them, that's not even a word. If you can't
if you can't outperform them,
if you can't
he's gonna
outperform
outjump
them, or if you can't out-program them, like in terms of having the best programs or choreography, you can definitely out-jump them and out-technical. His base value, man, like Boyang Jin, his base value in that program is 101 points. 101 points for like just base value alone, and then when he executes it, and his series, his triple axel triple Zalka series, had he done that a little better, he'd have the win. But like he pulls 110 points, which again is hanging with Yuzuru Hanyu. Maybe not Yuzuru Hanyu at the Grand Prix final when the judges were quite generous with the grade of execution. I thought I actually thought he was better at NHK personally, but both were like stunning, flawless performances. But it'll be interesting to see how the grade of execution is matched up when somebody who has really great quality jumps, like Hanyu, faces off against somebody who has high difficulty jumps, like Jin. Like that quad lutz is just it's stunning to watch. Like it's one of those things that he launches himself and he fights for every millisecond in the air to get that rotation. Yep. And he does it, and he'll do it, which is crazy because it's a quad lutz, and like up until
it's incredibly hard.
Yeah, well, Brandon Ross was the first one to do it, and no other man has done it.
Yeah, but you look at the frames of the men who have attempted it or who have come close. I mean, Adam Rapon, Brandon Morose, Michael Weiss. These were big, strong guys who would like crank that out. Boyang Jin, he's like a pencil. He's teeny. He's just a tiny guy. It's amazing what he's able to do.
But I think that helps. But it's also crazy that like that's the hardest element. Like that solo jump is the hardest element by far that has ever been done, and he has done it so many times this season. Like it's absolutely nothing, and it's his go-to.
It's his go-to solid jump, and it's the hardest there ever is.
It's the hardest there ever is, exactly. And I think like once he finally gets maximum grade of execution, that's going to be a 20-point jumping pass, that quad lutz triple toe in that short program, which is crazy because it's like 1/5 of my score is coming from this from literally like a second and a half of jumping, which is totally deserved because that that is a phenomenal jumping pass. And the 4 quads, I mean, got to give it up to him. But we should also give it up to the bronze medalist. Surprise bronze medalist, because I think a lot of people expected Shoma Uno to be like first or second. They didn't expect Chan to skate as well, and they certainly didn't expect Jin to necessarily get 6 quads. So rounding out the podium was Han Yan, who had the like free skate of his career. Like it was so nice to watch. And Han Yan is one of the he's kind of like an Emodio. He was great, and then he fell off for a bit due to inconsistency. And like injury, like there was that collision he had last year at Cup of China with Yuzu Hanyu.
And he's ditched the vest, and he has a really beautiful.
He gave it to Patrick. He gave it to Patrick for a short program.
Totally, he's got some ruching going on, and it's like solid blue, like all uniform, long program costume. I like it. I'm liking what he's putting out there. He did really well for continents.
It's interesting because like he's not. Like that's not his style of skating. He's kind of like a Max Aaron in the sense that like he's really, really trying to break free from the style of skating that and like really expand his artistic border, so to speak. And I'm so glad he was able to do that in these programs, because when Hanyan is on, like
his jump quality, his jump technique and quality when he's on, his jumps are beautiful.
Beautiful to watch. And And again, his technique is actually one of the best in the world when he actually hits his jumps. And to get like close to 100 points, I think it was like 95 or 96 in technical element score. It's a breakthrough for him. And yeah, like I'm very, very proud of Han for managing to hold off Shoma Uno, who had issues with his quads in his free skate, and that really held him back and really pushed him off the podium. And even in a short program, he didn't have the cleanest short program either. So it's a bit of a surprise to see him off the podium, especially when, like, after the Grand Prix final, he beat both Jin and Chan. But that does make things more exciting for Worlds. I also do want to give kudos to Takahito Mora, who again was one of the guys who had an amazing free skate in that final flight and really, really laid it down. Like I think it was first, second, and third would have won Worlds last year, and fourth and fifth, I read somewhere that they would have ended up coming bronze. So like that's very significant that like the top 5 from 4 continents from a supposedly like diluted like second tier, like not as great as Europeans competition, absolutely killed it, right? Like
totally. China and Japan, like they came to play obviously at 4 continents. I mean, Shoma had some difficulties, but overall still a good skate. And Takahito, if you were a North American man, apart from Patrick Chan, you were having difficulties. So that's too bad that there wasn't a stronger showing from Canada and the US.
Although
maybe fingers crossed, we'll see what happens at Boston.
Yeah, Max really needs to shake off this performance, because he was brilliant at nationals, and it was really sad to see his performances just not happen. Whatever fire he had, it just wasn't there at this competition. I mean, he did have there were some good skates. Like Keiji Tanaka had a really good free skate, and like obviously like Uno was expected to beat him, and like Mora and Yan and Jin, and like there were some great skates ahead of him. So like even if Max, like I think his score was 221 points, and 5th place was 268 points. So like he wasn't even at his best. He would have been pressed to even make the top 5. So
but he would have felt better. I mean, it
would have felt better with a good performance, though. So
running theme that he seems to have, where he struggles when he's skating, outside of the U.S., continued in Taiwan.
Yeah, but hopefully he skates better at Worlds, and I think this competition proves that Worlds will definitely be very interesting with Hanyu not there, and obviously Fernandez winning Europeans, like with his massive 300 score. These guys still show that like they can come to play, and they can make Worlds very interesting. So I think the men's discipline is shaping up to be quite a battle.
It could go one of two ways. It could be it could be warfare in Boston, or
Sochi.
I mean, sometimes when like the standard has just risen so much, and these guys are just putting the bar so high that they're all going to fumble on their way to it. I hope it doesn't happen,
I
but
hope
I
not.
mean, the way that they're skating, when you consider NHK, when you consider Grand Prix final, when you consider Four Continents, when you consider Javier's performance breaking 300 at Europeans, whoa, like this may not be sustainable, but that's the joy of figure skating, and we shall see.
I will reiterate, I'm so glad that the men are just nailing it this season and like putting on a spectacle. Like this isn't even close. Like there's still a season, and then the Olympics. Like for them to be like laying it down and like really elevating their sport technically, and I think artistically as well. It's like they've finally gotten the hang of the code of point system, and now that they've done that, they're able to expand their technical repertoire, and this is what's causing the sport to evolve to a whole new level. So it's very, very exciting to see. I mean, I'm sorry, like I'll just say it again: 6 quads, like seriously, six damn quads, like that. Like in like it, we go from like Olympians winning with no quads and like world champions with no quads to like guys coming up with 6 quads. And again, when like skaters like Nathan Chen recover, like you're gonna get some technical masterpieces. And once they've mastered that and evolved the artistic side of their skating, I think we're gonna see in the next in the rest of this quadrennial some of the best programs technically and artistically that figure skating has to offer. So it's a very exciting time.
Yeah, agreed. So on that note, thank you so much for watching this episode and recap of the Four Continents Championship of 2016 in Taiwan. If you liked what we said, tell us in our comments. And if you didn't like it, you can also speak up and say so also. Or follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and head on over to goldenskate.com. Great news information there. Always interesting and dramatic discussions in the discussion boards. So check out Golden Skate. And in the meantime, stay tuned for our next episode in advance of the Boston World Championships. But we're getting to the tail end of the season, and things get really excited as we head on the road for the final weeks towards Boston. So I'm Ted Flett,
and I'm Emmett Doss, and these are the Blade Boys, and we will see you like just prior to Worlds. So it's gonna be good times. So we'll see you in a bit.